What's going on, you guys? I'm here to give you a little bit of lessons on some mistakes I made making my first 10 podcasts. Do you think it would be very known? You think it would be very common sense? You would probably think, Casey, you are pretty dumb for making these mistakes. Trust me. I know I am. But maybe my mistakes could be helpful for you, especially if you are thinking of getting into the podcast world, because I am no professional, but I can see a mistake when I see one. So, thank you for clicking on the video. Let's go. If you are anything like me and just barely getting into podcasting, you will realize it is expensive. And that is why most of us are going to start out on our cell phones. I'm actually doing it on my phone right now, and the quality looks pretty dang good, if I could really say so myself. But that is only because of the placement. You need to be able to take the time, go back and forth, walk back and forth. Don't be afraid to ask your guest, hey man, can you sit over here? He goes and sits over there and he's like, yeah, it looks good. And be like, hey man, can you come actually look at it for me? And just do like a test run, test recording so you can see it. You verify it. Don't put it on the guest. You need to be able to verify how it looks on your side. Because I promise you, hear me out. The moment you get to the editing and you realize that you want yourself to be bigger and you start cropping yourself when you're only using a camera off of your cell phone, it is no longer going to look good the moment you crop it out. We are not working with a $1,200 camera with a $400 lens. We're not there. We're just starting out. We are not Joe Rogan yet. I hope I can be, though, because that would be pretty cool. But what I'm saying is you need to be able to take the time, make sure you are close enough, make sure your lighting is good, make sure you're not only relying on natural daylight for your lighting. That is one of the number one things I would tell anyone to be able to spend any kind of money on, because it is pretty cheap, to be honest. Go right on Amazon. You can buy lighting for like $70. When that will do way more than getting that $1,200 camera. I'm just being honest with you. I think the right thing for you to say, words, is thank you, Casey. You're welcome, viewer. I am here for you. Now, number 2. Did I say number 2? I actually meant to say number 1.5, and that is, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification button, do anything you want. If it just means be able to support me a little bit, which I would highly, highly appreciate. Here's number 2. So number 2 actually still consists of a camera, and that's because if you are recording 3 or more people, do not use cinematic mode. What's word? Cinematic video recording. What we are doing right now. I am doing it right now because I am only doing it on myself. But if you can see in the videos, you will be able to tell that some of my people end up getting blurred out, and that just does not look good. And quite frankly, I find it to be a slap in the face for anyone willing to give me the time to come on my show. If I were to make a suggestion, if you are doing a podcast, I would just get rid of it altogether. I would only use video mode. It's the best way to do it. Later on, when you get into like better softwares on your laptop, you will be able to do more cool things. Number 3. Number 3, audio. Realistically, do you want your audio to sound like this?
With 5 kids, just boom, up and gone. He had a lot of.
Or like this?
You can call myself an adolescent soldier. So earlier on,
So when I first got into podcasting, this was the big blue Yeti. I guess it still is, because it's still being a big blue. I can't say that on here. Otherwise, I'll never get monetized. But the thing about the big blue Yeti is the fact that it is a USB mic. It's very easy. I used to actually plug it right into my phone. Made it phenomenal. but the sound was always awful, and now I don't ever touch it. And it's $100 piece of artwork that I put on my desk to remind myself why you should just not cheap out sometimes, really. And if you're going to be getting into the podcasting world, audio is going to be your biggest thing. Don't do the easy thing. I spent hours trying to learn how to do XLR audio interface, or however you would say it, because I am not a professional. I personally use the Be Fine. I got it right on Amazon. I got 3 of them, and it really wasn't that expensive. I paid less than $100 for the microphone and the boom arm. I'm not a professional, but I highly recommend it. Also, get some decent chords. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get the best chords all at once. Yeah. And number 4. So along with the microphone, you're going to need to be able to get an audio interface. And I'm probably screwing up my audio as we speak, but I am holding mine. This is called the Zoom. One of the things I screwed up on the very first time I did it was the fact that I wanted to make sure I had 4 ports for 4 microphones, but I didn't shut off the other 2 microphones when I first used it. I'm that good at screwing up. If there was a professional screw up to be on YouTube, sign me up, because I'm really good at doing it. But no, whatever audio interface you get, always make sure your other ports are always going to be shut off. If you only use 2, and you're obviously podcasting, so you're only going to have 2, then you're good. Make sure they're on. In my case, sometimes I do 3 people. One day I might do 4 people. So I wanted to be able to get something that would allow me to do up to 4 people, but I needed to make sure every single time I turn this sucker on, I shut off the mics that I'm not using. Otherwise, you get that beautiful, actually, you get this. You get that static sound, that great, beautiful static noise that we all love so much. Okay, I'm not going to do it anymore, but that is the example. Learn from me, because I didn't know it until after I got done a 2.5 hour or 3.5 hour podcast. I don't remember how long it was. I just know it was long, and I managed to screw it up. You're welcome. Last thing I'm going to talk about doesn't actually have to do with when you are doing the podcast, but when you are doing the editing. I personally used Clipchamp. It's a thing off of Microsoft. I used it for quite a few months, and no matter how good my stuff sounded and how good it looked, as soon as it got to the YouTube page and I ran to my flat screen television and pressed play, it looked like trash. It brings you from looking like this, what I'm using right now, to looking like this, which this is Clipchamp. I have nothing but bad things to say about you. Go ahead, bite the bullet, get a good video editing software right at the very beginning. I made this entire video off of this software, and that's how I can honestly be truthful when I say just do it. There's no ands or buts. I use Final Cut Pro. My other computer was dying, and I'm a full-time student. So if my computer dies, I don't know if I can say that word on here either. But what I'm getting at is, if you don't have a Mac and you might need to go use something else, do your research. But don't just stick to the plain Jane free version one that is going to stop you from progressing, becoming better. I want to remind you to please click that subscribe button. Follow, listen to some of my podcasts. They're only going to become better. If you want to come on, that'd be cool. Send me a DM. comment on it. Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for the support. Till next time. I'm not close enough to do that. I've become so numb, I can feel your pain.